Hello everyone, thank you very much for watching this video. My name is Luke Elijah and my guest with me today is Bryant Pettey, who is a life and business coach. Thank you, Brian, for coming into my podcast and talk show to share with the audience a little bit about yourself and what you do and offer to the world. Right, Brian, tell the audience a bit about your background and experience.
So I started out working in real estate development. Actually, before that, I started at medical school and left medical school to work in corporate, and that was real estate development and investment. And I did that for approximately about 18 years prior to becoming a life and business coach.
Why that transition though? Because it's pretty drastic, it's quite a shift.
Yeah, it's definitely a shift. You know, I think I kind of had it right the first time when I was in medical school. Kind of what motivated me to go to medical school was in the business of helping people, and that was really ultimately what really brings me joy.
Yeah, you want to be a healer.
I wanted to be a healer.
Yes.
Yeah, there's many ways to do that. So how that transitioned was, working in the corporate environment where I learned a lot. It was not really speaking to my soul. It was actually kind of killing my soul of sorts because I was not aligned with what I was doing. So it took me 18 years. Really,
18 years?
18 years to break out of that and to start questioning, the reasons and the motivations behind what brought me to the corporate environment in the first place. So it was, I was working corporate, and there's always a balance where, if you're doing something you're not aligned with, and you compensate to find that joy in your life in another way. So for me, it was traveling. So I started to travel the world. And I think it was the traveling that definitely started to unwind and started to make me think about what I wanted to do in my life. I met lots of different people. I went to over 100 different countries and had lots of different...
over countries?
Yeah,
wow.
It was really something I just loved doing.
Yeah, so it must have been very transformational, mind-blowing, mind-expanding for you, those travels.
It was, like I said, it's really what loosened the bolts on me and really started to change me, and that my transformation process and my evolution and my mindset and perspective completely changed when I started to travel the world and met lots of different people and had amazing conversations with people from all walks of life. So that's really where it started for me.
Right. So in the last couple of years and several years, especially during the pandemic, I understand that you actually used that time to do a lot of personal development, inner transformational certification courses to improve your skills so that you can assist your clients. Could you tell the audience a little bit about that? What do you do specifically?
Yeah. So, I left the corporate arena about 3 years ago. And in that time, coupled with all of the traveling I had done and just my self-discovery work during that time, and the things I learned just during that time was just incredible. But I wanted to use what I've learned, my life skills, in a way to help other people. And I wasn't really sure exactly how I wanted to do that. So I started to take self-development courses, learn from lots of great coaches. I have a life certification course from Mind Valley. I took a assertiveness course, mindfulness course, positive intelligence course as well, where I'm certified, which is a great mental fitness operating system. And I also took a psychedelic training course and how that helps people to make transformational changes in their life. So all these courses and this learning, gave me the tool set to be able to do exactly what I really wanted to do originally, which is just to help people to have the lives that they want to have.
Right. What would you say would be your forte or your strength? Like, why should people come to you? What's so unique about you?
So there's a couple things that I think that I do really well that helps me to be a coach. So one of them, there's two things. One, it's very, very important if you want to help people is to listen and to be present. And I cannot emphasize how important that aspect is. And that is something that I've always been able to do for my friends and family and work. And that's just a trait I've always had and always been really good at. I'm really present for people, and I create that container. Secondly, I think, again, it's because of my experiences and just how I grew up and what I went through. And the traveling helped me to do this as well. But it's to create an environment where people can really be vulnerable to do the work they need to do. If people can't be vulnerable, or if they can't face the blocks and the issues and the demons that haunt them, then they're not going to be able to transcend. And that is something I'm able to do for people uniquely. And so I focus on, this is very general, but I focus on transformations in mindset. And ultimately, the reason why I use those words, mindset and transformation, is because you're moving from one place to another. You're moving from a place where you're not aligned, where maybe you're triggered, or you're living in some sort of loop, or you're living in anxiety, or you're not finding joy in your life. There's something that you feel is missing. And moving to that place where you feel that more fulfillment. And underneath that, there are so many different things that contribute to that. It can be self-forgiveness, it could be anger issues, it could be trauma from when you grew up. There's so many things that can contribute to it. So I help people to identify what those are, and they typically work in the blind spots so that they can face it and then transcend it and have the life that they would like to have.
And in a very non-judgmental, conducive, safe environment that they can be tell you what's really affecting them, and be completely raw, authentic, and vulnerable to themselves. And that's where true healing happens. Absolutely. When you're being authentic. Could you tell the audience as well, how can you assist, aid, and help them in an individual, personal way, as well as in a corporate, commercial way for companies? Mm-hmm. How can you help both?
So on the personal side, like I mentioned and you had mentioned, mm-hmm. The vulnerability container and the deep listening skills, those have to be there for anyone to be able to create that environment for change. And there's lots of different modalities, and what I've recognized is there's a lot of different things I do. There's the positive intelligence, which is similar to emotional intelligence, but I think it goes deeper. But each person is different, and it really is a matter of which tool set really is going to help them. Because I don't have the answers for someone's life. Everyone has the answers within themselves. So really, what I'm doing is I'm creating that environment individually using different coaching tool sets tools that I have to bring those answers out of them, because everyone really does have it within themselves. One tool or one thing that has really been helpful are people who go to psychedelic retreats, like Ayahuasca retreats in South America. Yeah,
it's getting popularity in this part of the world.
It's getting a lot of popularity, and in fact, in the U.S. anyway, there's a lot of municipalities that have decriminalized it and are putting legal frameworks around this.
It's really trending.
And so, so those experiences are very, very powerful to help people to come to that awareness, and I will help them integrate those experiences into their life, and that's proving to be very, very, very powerful.
Oh, that's absolutely crucial that they process it in almost like a clinical setting so they can make better sense of it. They do, after the experience, to journal, to meditate, to embody the necessary downloads so that they can make the necessary transformative, positive changes in their lives. Otherwise, then what's the point of going through such a life-changing experience? Because you're meant to integrate it, and then meant to then make use of it as a stepping stone to better your life in various ways, right? And I like that you're able to help people achieve that in their lives. Could you tell the audience then specifically, how do you help businesses and corporations, especially with your background in corporate for so many years? Because you understand the business setting, you understand what goes behind the hierarchy, the office politics, everything that makes up a business and a company, and the kind of problems and issues they face. But how do you able to help people, corporations, have better well-being and less stress in their working environment?
So there's a number of ways that I do that. So I can help companies by offering my services to all of their employees, where they can voluntarily. For example, what I would do is I would go into a company and I would introduce myself personally to every employee, unless it's a massive company and there's not enough time to do that. And then I would set aside a day or two, for example, in a month, where people, where employees of that company can have a session with me, and we go through anything that may be bothering them, even personal issues as well. And the thing is that, and this is coming from a place where I was in corporate for about 20 years, is that in the corporate environment, when you walk through the door, it really is a focus on what your objective for the job is. And all the things that are bothering you at home are typically left at the door. Things that are bothering you at work are typically also not voiced and brought to light in the working environment. And that's just the way it is. Like these are things that your manager can't really handle. These are things that HR really can't handle. So a lot of people don't feel like they have a place where they can voice what concerns them and what kind of hampers their productivity and works against their effectiveness and creates maybe some turmoil
yeah.
in the office
Yeah.
place. And so I help people to work through that. And then while I'm doing that, I also am advising management on the things they can do to create environments for their employees that do enhance productivity and effectiveness. I can also do this for leaders if they want to go through leadership training. And a really great tool set for that is the Positive Intelligence course. There's lots of leadership applications for that. And so those are the main ways that I help businesses, and I can also help them to realign processes, rethink their processes, help them with cultural aspects, because at the end of the day, a lot of people feel when they go to, at the end of the day, every single person wants to feel like they're the main decision maker of their life. And when you're employed by someone, that autonomy that people have, they feel like they lose it. And companies have a great opportunity to create an environment where people do feel like they are the main decision maker of their life, and it's not so hierarchical. And there's just a lot of different changes that companies can make. So I explore those options with companies through coaching leaders. And
that's so much required right now, I feel, because we spend at least a third of our lives in office setting. It needs to be a conducive environment for growth, because right now it's very dysfunctional. It's almost like a family setting, a home setting, and they kind of have a lot of mental health issues. People don't know where to go, and that mental health issues and leads to a negative mindset that then affects productivity and efficiency. So it needs to be reset at the root cause level so that the whole ecosystem in the office can be improved. And I think someone like you is able to then assist not just from the bottom up, but also from the top down, and make it a holistic, integrated space that is more enjoyable to go to. Right? So do you have any last parting words of wisdom for the audience? Like, what is like a motto or like a tagline that a wisdom that you live by that works for you?
Yeah. So this is something that I I'm sure it's probably said somewhere out there, but I kind of came up with this mantra, and I end up saying it a lot to lots of people I talk with and coach. And people always come back and tell me, okay, I really feel like I'm sensing what that means. And I always tell people to get curious, not critical. And that's about everything. That's about your emotions that you're going through, the things that you're resisting, other people, interactions that you have, if people react a certain way, to really get curious, because curiosity is sort of the antidote for judgment and being critical. And so often in our lives, the thing that is plaguing us is our own criticalness or our own judgment towards others or ourselves or our circumstances. And getting curious and understanding really what's going on there, and and it takes an empathy aspect as well. That is a massive curing effect for so many people in so many circumstances and situations. So I would say that would be my, in short, a summarized piece of advice I'd give anyone.
Right. I think it's nicely put in a nutshell. I mean, from my personal experience and time spent with you, I felt like you have very stabilizing, grounded energy. You feel like, I imagine you like a tall, strong tree, and very rooted, very grounded, very calm and settled. And I love that energy about you. And what you have taught me personally is to have an awe, which is about things, to bring joy into every facet of my life. And sometimes we tend to forget. It's nice to have these kind of reminders. And I feel like those grounding foundational principles are very rooted in you. You embody it. And so I thank you for your influence in my life. Yeah. And I'm very excited for you to help other people out there who are in need of your services. Where can you go to find out more about what you offer and what you do, about you as a person, as a coach? How can you find out more?
So they can contact me on email is the main way, and that is BR, and then my last name, Pettey, PETTEY @gmail.com. And I also have my company, which is Zenosphere. That is zen-osphere.com.
Well, now that you mentioned your company Zenosphere, it has actually many branches. It does different things. Could you mention briefly a little bit about Zenosphere?
Yeah, so Zenosphere is the main umbrella company, and under that are retreats. I've done a few retreats and planning on doing more. The coaching is underneath that as well, and the business coaching is underneath that as well. And I also will be planning and organizing transformational trips and vacations for people in certain parts of the world. So that will all be under the Zenosphere umbrella.
Right. Thank you, Brian, again for joining us today. And we wish you all the best in your future endeavors. And know that you're going to help and transform so many lives. Thank you.
Thanks, Luke.
Thank you guys for watching this video. Please feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more similar content.